Right, quick update on NEAR. So we've had a pretty decent bounce coming in today for NEAR. We're up about 13.5% at the time of recording this. And, we'll hop onto our momentum indicators in a moment and see how we're doing in the short term. But I thought I'd just start off the video by just taking a second to really appreciate how low our oscillators are right now for NEAR. If we look, apart from this increase in volume that we've seen today, huge amount of bulls stepping in, that is a very, very nice sign. We also found some support coming into the 236, but most importantly, looking at these oscillators right now, the money flow indicator recently came down to 16.7. We have only been lower than that once in the entire history for NEAR, where we came down to about 7.5 to 8. And you can also see, if we look down here, the relative strength index recently came down to 28. Extremely oversold. It literally hasn't been that oversold since all the way back in November 2020 when it got added on Binance, and it had a huge landslide after it got listed on Binance. I guess a lot of people bought the rumor and then sold as it listed on Binance, as it normally is. But yeah, looking at your oscillators, I really did just want to take a second to show you that NEAR, it seems very, very undervalued at this moment in time. And while I don't necessarily think at this moment in time is the best time to DCA, it is just something to look at. We are in this accumulation range for now. I did talk about in the last video how I think we're going to chop around in here until the Fed meeting is done on the 4th. If we look, you can currently see on the daily, we've run into the 200-day moving average coming in at about $12. So there is definitely some overhead resistance that we haven't cleared before we can get bullish. I also wanted to show you this, which isn't NEAR, but it is very important to look at the Bitcoin logarithmic growth curves to get an idea of where the general market could be. And if we zoom in, I'll only make this take a second of the video, but you can see, we've got the heart line of the Bitcoin logarithmic growth curves. That is the medium deviation of the price. And then if we look to the bottom, you can see we get low dev, which means your one deviation of the average price oversold. And you can see the absolute low on these logarithmic growth curves normally always holds. We've only had one instance where we've very, very momentarily peaked below the bottom of one deviation oversold for Bitcoin. And at this moment in recording, we literally came down. You can see the the middle, or the bottommost Fibonacci down here is coming in at 37,500. If we look at Bitcoin today, you can see 37,400 is where we bottomed at today. So Bitcoin literally moved down to the absolute lowest fib before we become one deviation oversold. And historically, this region where we're at right now is always the bottom. So this doesn't mean that we can't go down a tiny bit more, because we can come down to 32,000 according to the Bitcoin logarithmic growth curves. But if we look at everything that's going on with the markets, and specifically if we look at what's going on with NEAR, you can see your oscillators are just completely oversold at this moment in time. So like I said, take it with a grain of salt if you want, but I personally do think maybe waiting until the end of the Fed meeting and then seeing how the markets react, we could have a nice DCA moment coming in for NEAR. Like I said, absolutely not considering doing it right now. If we do head over to our momentum indicators, you can see on the 4-hourly, we are only just running into your 4-hourly EMA ribbons. On the daily time frame, you can see your daily EMA ribbons are starting to converge on themselves. If I make the short-term moving average thicker, when the short-term moving average crosses the long-term moving average on the bottom down here, we would be having a bearish flip. So it seems like we're coming down for that very, very quickly. I would imagine this bearish flip is very much underway. The last time we had a bearish flip, it was actually kind of like a contrarian signal. It flipped and we had a pump back up to it, rejected from it, and then came back down. So we could even see something like this play out for NEAR over the next couple of days or so, where we have a pump up to almost $14, $13.80. We get rejected off these while they flip bearish, and then we move back down potentially to these lower fib regions at around $10.40. Either way, there's a lot of variables going on right now. I don't want to make everything into this, different outside what's going on with NEAR. But if we look at what the stock market's doing as well, the stock market's plunging beneath its previous lows, everything's going down. You've got blue chips like Coinbase, Tesla losing support, Facebook losing support, the SPY coming down on its last legs, Nasdaq breaking down below its lows, and the SPX breaking down below its lows. So like I said, for all of these reasons, I don't think at this moment in time is the best time to DCA near. However, I do think that time is coming. You can already see the squeeze momentum indicator on the higher time frames like the daily. We've already had this big flush out to the downside, and historically, at least since near has been on Binance, and since 2020, so the past 2 years, every time we put in these bottoms, you can see we've got macro bottoms, and for the past 2 years we've always been putting in higher lows. So in my opinion, I don't necessarily think that near would be breaking back down below the $10 region. However, I wouldn't put it past it to fake out, come up to here, maybe come down and make a higher low, do something like this. But either way, like I said, you know, your oscillators are completely oversold at this point. While I do, you know, kind of understand that we could move a tiny bit to the downside, I really do think the bottom is near for near. That sounds funny, but yeah, I do think the bottom is near for near. And if we look at the oscillators seem to agree with me as well. And once again, Bitcoin logarithmic growth curves, there is not much further that we can go down. So that is all I've got for near. Is it a DCA moment? I don't know. I personally don't think so at this moment in time. I would definitely be waiting the next couple of days or so. As always, the trend is your friend until the end. If we look at what's been going on, we're clearly in a downtrend. We're below your 4-hourly EMAs, coming into your daily as well. We are really, really landsliding at this moment in time. So I'm definitely going to sit on the sidelines. Let me know what you think about that below. Are you going to be sitting on the sidelines, or are you going to be entering a trade on near? That's all I've got for near today. As always, none of this is financial advice, just my opinion on the market. And as always, cowboy out. Peace.